Hydra has been running some kind of field tests in the area, and that device is the key. They would rather destroy it than let us get our hands on it, so it must be important. Don't waste any time. Take them out before they can do any serious damage. Those soldiers are targeting the device. Do whatever it takes to stop them.
This is a serious predicament for you.
The problem.
Now that was something.
Never surrender. Engaging target.
I'm down to responding. Serve her with honor.
Don't waste the opportunity.
Nothing to...
As they say, it gets the job done.
Targeting systems active.
We are doing well so far.
You've got incoming Hydra. You know what to do.
I'm on it.
I saw a move like that once, centuries ago.
No respect for mindless followers.
They cannot stop.
You're as good as they say. More than. Be happy you can still draw breath.
We're losing ground.
You can all join Lilith together.
That thing is taking a beating. If Hydra does too much damage, it won't be any use to us.
You were too weak for this fight.
Any hope we had of inspecting that device is gone now. Maybe next time.
All is well for now. Whatever works for you.
You are lucky to still be breathing.
hope we had of inspecting that device is gone. Good work.
Always on the hunt, right?
We need to talk.
Yes?
We should speak in private.
Just what I need. Intrigue. Lead the way.
Nico is planning to throw you a surprise birthday party.
And why do you tell me this?
For the drama, mostly.
You are a jerk. But you are also funny. Thank you for revealing this to me. Did she say how many people?
Just the Midnight Suns. Also Spider-Man.
Small crowd.
What now?
What else? I survived the party.
This area, it feels wrong somehow. I sense an old suffering.
Members of the local coven were persecuted here. And worse.
Witches?
Salem's history with witches may have been distorted over the years, but some things are true. The witches of Salem did their best to thwart Shaw, but he rallied his congregation against them. The catalyst of the infamous Salem witch trials. When the coven called out in distress, it was Lilith and Sarah who came to their aid.
Caretaker and my mother knew their powers could help others, and they did not hesitate.
Of course not, dear. Your mother was a gifted healer, and Sarah was never one to back down from a fight. They also knew the signs of Chthon's influence, and Shaw's sudden rise to power undoubtedly got their attention.
Chthon's corruption had taken root in the New World, just like the colonists themselves.
And while Lilith and Sarah were still preoccupied in Transia, they entrusted one of the Moon Seals to the Knights of Wondergore, who brought it to the Coven with the hope that its power would reinforce them enough to deal with Shaw.
But that is not what happened.
Unfortunately, no. When the plague came to Salem, the same one that afflicted your father, Shaw used it to further agitate his flock by placing the blame squarely on the Coven.
And the witches?
The mob was vicious. And the rest is history.
But what about the Moon Seal?
After the trials, the Moon Seal vanished along with Shaw. Without drawing any conclusions, I think we can both guess where it went.
If this was his church, then it is possible the seal is still here, or somewhere nearby.
You read my mind. Good hunting, dear.
Was this always here? I may have forgotten a few things, but I feel as if I would remember a decrepit church on the grounds.
You may not remember the structure, but maybe you've heard of the man responsible for it? Hiram Shaw? This was his house of worship, and like a great many things on the grounds, Sarah preferred to keep it in a sort of mystic quarantine. Even I haven't been inside.
Is that all she did while I slept? Seal things off for our protection?
She can be overzealous at times, but in this case, she was right to be wary.
So what dark secret does this place hold?
When Hiram Shaw first came to Salem, he was little more than a charlatan posing as a preacher. He managed to convince a few desperate souls to join his congregation, and with their help, he broke ground on this church. Whether it was coincidence or fate, in digging beneath the church, Shaw found something that would change the course of all of our lives. A long-forgotten page of the Darkhold.
Whether it was meant for him or not, Chthon found his disciple.
True. It's quite possible someone else would have taken his place had it not been Shaw.
But he was not about to pass up this chance.
Yes, Shaw was an eager study, consumed almost immediately by the whisperings of Chthon and the Darkhold's power. Nearly overnight, the people of Salem, old and new, were at his threshold, waiting for the word. It's always good to see you.
What do you know about my father?
That's not an easy question, dear. What would you like to know? Was he a good man? Yes, I think he was. Your mother loved him dearly, and he doted over her. I think for a time she forgot who she was, where she came from. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. She and Sarah both deserve to find something more than just another fight with Chthon. Lilith did. Sarah didn't. At least, not for a while longer still. I honestly think that's the only thing she ever had against him, blood or not.
Tell me about Hiram Shaw.
By all accounts, Hiram Shaw was a desperate man. Desperate for power, wealth, influence, the usual desires that cloud men's minds. As I understand it, he was a largely unsuccessful minister before his arrival at Salem, traveling from place to place, swindling whatever followers he managed to gain before being run out of town. To think that a simple man like Shaw finding a piece of the Darkhold was enough to set all of this in motion, it puts things in perspective. Until we speak again.
This ward is not like anything I have seen on the grounds before.
And yet, it's familiar somehow.
Like the wards of protection that Wanda invoked to protect Dr. Strange's sanctum?
Very perceptive, dear. Maybe you should approach the good doctor and see if he has any insights. And Hunter, be circumspect. Dr. Strange is no fool. Never a dull moment.
Did Wanda ever make it to this place?
I suspect she did. But if she discovered something, she didn't tell me. Goodbye, for now.
Ah, Hunter, I was just admiring the collection. Someone spent a great deal of time piecing this library together. I hope you don't mind me, having a look around.
Of course not, Doctor. The library is an asset to us all.
I see I'm not the only one who's taken an interest in these works. You haven't been getting into anything precarious, I hope?
I have found something on the Abbey grounds that I think you should see.
Oh, sounds mysterious. By all means, lead the way. I typically avoid venturing this far from the Abbey, especially at night. It makes Tony nervous, you see. There's an unsettling air about this place.
This church belonged to a preacher named Hiram Shah. His influence turned Salem against its coven.
A charismatic personality and a fearful populace can do much evil together.
There was more to it than that.
Yes, I suspected as much. Not in the I'm concerned about your personal well-being doctor sense. I think he's actually more afraid of what might happen to my side of the forge without proper supervision. Which, to be fair, is a valid concern. And in most cases... You were right to bring this to my attention, Hunter.
I thought it resembled one of your wards of protection.
There's a reason for that. It's the same magic Wanda invoked in her attempts to protect the Sanctum. But what is it that you're chasing out here? These wards aren't something to toy with.
I will not know for sure until I get past this. Is there any way to dispel it?
Unfortunately, no. What good would the wards of protection be if they were so easily broken? But I have been wrong before, at least recently. Do you have any suspicions as to who may have conjured this here?
Wanda spent a great deal of time out here, and she had the power.
She does have some experience with these spells. But why would she do that?
The only way I will know for sure is to find a way through to the other side.
I'll think on it and see if I can come up with some way to assist you, Hunter. For now, though, you'll have to be patient. You go on, Hunter. I'd like to study this area a bit more.
I have heard that Wanda's power comes from Chthon.
The way I understand it, as a child, Wanda and her family lived in Transia, not far from Mount Wundagore. Within that mountain, the dark god Chthon had long been imprisoned, his corruptive influence an ongoing threat to the people of Transia.
And Wanda was affected?
Whether Chthon reached out to Wanda, or he found her by chance, I can't say, but Wanda was blessed or cursed by Chthon, touched by the power of chaos magic. While he had hoped to make her some sort of acolyte, she proved to be more capable than even he foresaw.
What can you tell me about Chthon?
One of the first Elder Gods, Chthon is said to have existed for tens of millions of years, well before the dawn of humanity on Earth. Believe it or not, he wasn't always the bastion of evil that we know today.
This story sounds familiar.
As the legend goes, the downfall of the old gods was actually brought upon by Chthon's brother Set, who found that by consuming his siblings, he could gain their power. After Set consumed Hypus, Chthon followed suit with the others, and in this way, many of the first gods also became the first demons.
And how did he come to be imprisoned on Earth?
In the same way Hydra has worked to restore Lilith, various cultists of the past sought to revive Chthon to wield his power. When Chthon failed to cooperate, these same cultists did the only thing they could. They locked him away again.
What do you know about Transia?
Transia is your ancestral homeland, Hunter. the birthplace of Lilith and Caretaker. It has always been a sort of magical junction, drawing in every type of occultist, sorcerer, and even the occasional elder god. The Abbey grounds still behave in much the same way, even after all this time.
And Wundagore?
Wundagore Mountain has always played a prominent role in whatever scheme was underway. Chthon himself is said to have created the Darkhold, deep within the caverns of the mountain.
What was Caretaker like when she was younger?
I'm sure it's difficult to remember now, but Sarah wasn't always the steadfast contrarian. In our younger days, she was much more enthusiastic about dashing off to save the day, not unlike some of our younger allies among the Suns.
That does not sound like the Caretaker we know and love.
Keep in mind, Hunter, Sarah has faced a great deal of loss in her time here. Everyone she ever cared about, in fact. I would say she's earned the right to be disagreeable, at the very least. She is a very strong woman. I'm not sure I would have held up as well given the same circumstances.
Who were the Knights of Wundagore?
Another mysterious group of heroes in a world full of mysterious groups. Of course, I'm no expert on transient history. I do know that the Knights of Wundagore were formed as a response to the growing threat of Chthon's influence near the mountain.
What exactly did they do?
Hydra was hardly the first to dabble in chthonic schemes. Many have tried and failed to awaken the Dark God. Over the centuries, the Knights fought alongside a number of allies who stood against the various crazed worshippers of Chthon.
You were there? At the witch trials?
Not initially, no. If I had been, I like to think I could have stopped them, before it was too late. I sensed something was wrong, and when the witches cried out in distress, I came to Salem as quickly as I could.
But Shaw had already committed his crimes against them?
Yes. It was a devastating discovery. And for the longest time, I blamed myself.
But you see now it was not your fault.
I've come to understand that we must accept the past and move on. But that doesn't mean I won't always carry that pain with me.
I know that feeling all too well.
I know. And I wish you didn't, dear. I really do.